What is going on, Lenfi Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed, and today we're going to be doing a quick demo and review of the Lenfi testnet. So I'm going to try to keep this as brief and concise as possible. And if you find any part of today's video to be helpful, please make sure to tap that like button if it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more tutorials or information surrounding Lenfi, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding anything related to Cardano, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. So the Lenfi peer-to-pool testnet is officially live on the pre-prod network. I've been covering this particular protocol here ever since their announcement of the peer-to-pool launch. And they also recently underwent through a name change, rebranding from AADA Finance over to Lenfi. Now Lenfi is going to stand for lending as well as finance, which makes a lot more sense than their prior name. Now what I want to do as a part of today's video is go ahead and take you guys through a brief tour of the actual testnet. But before I do that, I want to break down what is actually functional and what we can expect for the team to add in the near future in terms of functionality. Now, this was released by the team about a week ago, and it states that this app is not yet finished, and the team is launching Lenfi on July 10th to allow more people to test with them. What I want to do is briefly touch on 4 pieces of the protocol which are not yet functional. However, the team is aware and they'll be working to integrate this as they iterate and improve on their testnet. So the first thing you will not be able to do is when you create a pool, you will not be able to delegate that ADA to an SPO. That is going to be a feature that they do want to have live on the testnet. And this basically just makes sure that your ADA is constantly working for you, even when it's sitting in a stake pool. We're seeing platforms, for example, like MinSwap, which is a DEX on Cardano, doing something like this already. And we've also seen the Indigo protocol call this liquid staking, which is basically any of the ADA that you put up as a collateralized debt position is then gone ahead and delegated to a stake pool. Similarly, the Liquid protocol, which is a DeFi protocol building on Cardano using peer-to-pool, is also using a similar method. So nothing extravagant here, but again, they are being fully transparent and letting us know that that feature will not be available. Number 2, this is going to be related to Oracle prices, that the Oracle NFTs, which are supposed to be updated, I believe, every 5 to 10 minutes, will not be updating, and that is going to be set with a 150-day expiration date. So what this basically means is that the protocol will have incorrect token prices. So if you do see that the tokens on the testnet don't actually have the same value as they would on the main net, that is okay. That is a known issue. Number 3, you will not be able to liquidate the loans on the platform using their user interface. However, bots will be able to do this. Again, they're going to be taking an approach very similar to what we're seeing with the Indigo protocol, where users can actually earn a small percent. I believe in this case, it's about 1.06% by actually liquidating the loan and protecting the protocol. Very lastly, if you create a pool, which on this particular platform, you will be able to create a pool if you're a user, you will not be able to delete or destroy them right now on the testnet, but however, on the mainnet launch, you should have that ability. Now, they did also release a Google document here, which I'm just going to kind of scroll down, which basically breaks down all of the known issues. And they've been doing a really good job of adding more and more of the community's feedback to this particular document. So if you find anything that's wrong, go ahead and report it to the team, and they should go ahead and add it to this Google Sheet. Now we're almost there. Again, this is going to be a stat surrounding the first 24 hours of the release of the testnet. So we can see that there was more than 47 pools, or 47 pools specifically, created over the course of the first 24 hours of the release of the Lenfi testnet. There was also over 122 unique wallets interacting with the testnet, creating or generating over 1,100 transactions, making over 320 deposits, and over 147 loans being taken out on the Lenfi protocol. So now that we've got the introduction out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the meat of today's video, which is the actual testnet. So in order to gain access to the testnet, you can head over to testnet.lenfi.io. The very first thing we need to do is go ahead and connect our Nami wallet to the pre-prod network. Trying to use this protocol on any other network will fail. So I've already got my Nami wallet here, which I'm going to quickly open up. I'm going to click on my user icon, and I'm going to go down to settings. And then from here, I'm going to select my network. And as you guys can already see, I've already selected the pre-prod network. By default, if you're on the main net, it should state main net. You just want to go ahead and select the pre-prod network. Once you do that, you are ready to go for the second step. Now, the second step will be to actually connect our wallet to the platform. So I'm going to click on connect here or at the top right corner of the screen. And right now they support Eternal, Nami, the Jura wallet, Flint, Lace, and Yoroi. So the top wallets within the Cardano ecosystem right now. And I'm going to be going ahead and using the Nami wallet. So I'm going to click on that. And as you guys can see, I can instantly connect my wallet and I can see my balances, which shows that I've already accrued 100,000 of the Lenny tokens, 200 of the Jet stablecoin tokens, 500 Lenfi, and about 600 Min tokens. Now, by default, when you connect for the very first time, because you will not have any tokens, you can actually go ahead and mint some test tokens. So just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to click on this option and I'm going to be prompted to sign this transaction. So I'm going to click on sign, enter my password, and click on confirm. And just like that, I've now gone ahead and minted some tokens. So if I wait about 2 to 3 minutes, I should receive some additional tokens. But given the fact that I already have these tokens within my wallet, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into the tutorial. So that very last step there on the right-hand side of the screen is basically letting us know that we are ready to go ahead and begin testing, and we can head over to the marketplace in order to begin viewing the Lenfi testnet. So I'm going to click on market. And by default, I'm redirected to the front page of the markets. Looking at the top left-hand side, I can see the TVL in terms of all of the assets locked on the peer-to-pool protocol. Now, I believe that once they add peer-to-peer as well, because again, keep in mind, they're not getting rid of peer-to-peer, they're just going to be adding peer-to-pool, that the TVL will actually be inclusive of both of the different protocols. To the right, we've got the top pools. So in the blue bars, I can see the ADA supply locked, which right now it seems like the Lenfi and ADA pool appears to have the majority of the liquidity. And then we can also see the average APR actually when you're supplying, which right now seems to be a maximum of about 6% for the Lenfi trading pool. Now, if I scroll down a little bit, the very first tab I've got here is going to be the pools tab. So I can see the supply token, which if I'm providing liquidity, this is going to be the token that I'm going to be providing. And I can also see the actual supply APR, which is listed right here. I can see the collateral token, which if I'm borrowing will be the token that I have to put up as collateral in order to borrow the supply token. And in this case, the APR is listed here, which right now for the ADA/min liquidity pool, if I put up my collateral, which is min to borrow ADA, I'll be paying an interest rate or an interest APR of 4.53%. Now, a few cool things is that you can actually search here by the ticker. So if I just type in ADA, I can then see all of the pools which either have ADA as the supply token or ADA as the collateral token. Similarly, if I want to go ahead and actually sort these pools by the available supply, I can go ahead and do that. So if I want to see the highest to lowest, I can do that. If I want to sort by the supply token, by the collateral token, or by the available supply, I can also go ahead and do that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that because this is going to be using a liquidity pool, that depending on how much of the assets are available, the interest rates and the supply rates will change. I did break this down in my prior video, but keep this in mind that this is going to be functioning off of supply and demand. So the more supply there is, right, the lower the APRs. Now, the less supply there is, then the higher the APR. For example, let's say that I am going ahead and providing liquidity for the ADA and min liquidity pool, and there is a ton of available liquidity. Well, it's going to be cheaper for me to actually borrow from that pool. On the other hand, if there's little to no liquidity available for me to borrow from, not only will the borrow APR be extremely high, the supply APR will also be high to incentivize more lenders or more suppliers to come online and actually provide liquidity in order to therefore make it a little bit easier for people who are looking to borrow to then come behind and actually utilize that pool. So in this particular event, again, you will want to make sure to double check your APRs because those will be fluctuating as the pools grow and shrink. And again, that's all going to be given or due to supply and demand. Now there is an option here at the top to go ahead and actually create a brand new pool. And if I click on that, as you guys can see here, I can provide the token that I want to supply. So let's say that I want to have this be a pool full of ADA and the JED token. I can put up JED as collateral in order to borrow ADA, and then I can actually supply how much I want to start the pool off with. So for example, let's say that I want to go ahead and start this off with 1,000 ADA. I can go ahead and do that. Now, I did mention earlier that the delegation feature is not fully functional, and that is what we see here. Basically, you'll be able to take the ADA, which would be underlying in the pool, and actually delegate that to a stake pool until somebody comes in and actually borrows that out of the supply pool. So a pretty neat feature there to, again, keep your ADA working for you, even when you're not. So let me see if I can actually create this pool here. So I'm going to click on next, and I'll be providing again ADA, which is going to be 1,000 of that token, and I'll be receiving some LP or liquidity pool tokens, basically identifying the amount of the pool or the share of the pool that I currently own. As it states here, the collateral token will be JED, so whoever's borrowing from this pool has to put up JED in order to borrow the supply token, which in this case is going to be ADA. So I'm going to click on confirm, and I think I may have to sign a transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this here, and that's going to deduct the 1,000 ADA from my wallet. So it's now creating a brand new pool. And while that is going on, we're going to go ahead and close this out, and let's go ahead and actually take out a loan. Now, just to be transparent here, I can see my pending transactions at the very top. So it states that right now I have a single pending transaction, which again is the transaction that I just created for the brand new pool, which again is going to be the ADA and JED pool. So let's switch gears. Let's go ahead and actually borrow an asset. So let's say that we want to borrow out of, let's see here, I'm going to remove this filter, out of the ADA and min pool, which right now we can see that the borrow APR is going to be 4%. So I'm going to have to put up some of my min tokens, which I do have in my wallet, in order to borrow ADA. So I'm going to click on borrow. I can provide how much ADA I want to go ahead and borrow. So let's say that I want to borrow 2,000 ADA. And then I can actually provide the collateral. Let me actually go ahead and just do 1,000 just to make this nice and round. And I think I have 600 of the min tokens. So let me just type in 500. And because the value of the min token is not enough compared to the value of ADA, I actually have a really horrible health factor. So this particular loan would not make sense. So let's go ahead and try a different scenario. Let's see here. Let's say that I want to borrow the Lenfi token by providing ADA as collateral. I think I should be able to do that. So I'm going to click on borrow. And let's say I only want to borrow 100 of the Lenfi tokens. And I'm going to put up 1,000 of the ADA tokens. Let's see here. That still seems like a relatively low health factor. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and just put in 3,000 ADA and just do 10 of the Lenfi tokens. Again, this I would assume would actually be a lot better. Again, I'm not sure if this is represented accurately. Let's maybe try one additional pool. That seems really odd. I should have a better health factor given the price of ADA and the amount of Lenfi tokens I was trying to borrow there. Let's try one more pool. Let's see down here. I'm going to click on borrow. Say I want to go ahead and borrow 10 Lenfi tokens, and as collateral, I want to go ahead and put down 50. There we go. So this is a much better health factor. Now keep in mind that the health factor represents the security of the position. So the fact that it's over 1 is a really good sign. And if this drops below 1, a liquidation will be available to occur. What that basically means is that somebody will be able to repay my loan because the value of the actual loan would have dropped to a certain extent. And at that point, as a borrower, I would not have to pay the loan back. However, the protocol would actually keep the collateral that I put up earlier. So keep that in mind. You always want to make sure that your health factor is accurate and that you're always keeping an eye on it, because if the value of the Lenfi or the collateral that I'm putting up drops significantly, that will impact your health factor. So I can see my loan APR, I can see my health factor. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next. And I can again confirm that I'm going to be borrowing 10 Lenfi tokens at an APR of 4.52% with a collateral of 50 Lenfi, and my health factor is 2.16. And there's going to be 4 ADA in terms of a fee, 2 going towards a batcher fee, and then an additional 2 going towards a deposit. I'm going to click on confirm, and we're going to go ahead and sign this transaction. So the borrow is now complete. And let's go ahead and see if we can actually see our pool, which was created. So I'm going to click on pending transactions. Let's see. Let me scroll up here, transactions. There we go. So I can see that the pool has been created, and I should now have 999 million of the LP tokens. So let me actually go back to pools. I'm going to search for ADA. And let's see, I don't see my pool listed. This could potentially be it, but I didn't put up that much ADA. So I actually don't see my pool here just yet. And so I'll have to double check to see exactly what needs to occur before the pool is visible. Again, this is all part of the testnet, double checking things, making sure things are working as expected. And let me just double check my wallet to see if potentially those LP tokens have arrived. So I do have the LP tokens, which are here, but I'm just not seeing the actual pool listed. Again, the supply token was ADA, and I provided 1,000 ADA, and then the collateral token was a JED. So I'm not seeing that available just yet. So if I jump back over, let's go ahead and just check in on our loan. So we can see that the latest transaction was a borrow in which we supplied 50 Lenfi, or excuse me, we borrowed 10 Lenfi and we put up as collateral 50 Lenfi, and that order is currently batching. If I jump over to the liquidations page real quick while the transaction is processing, we can see some of the health factors, some of the debt, and some of the collateral for some of these positions. But again, keep in mind that we can't really do much with this right now as it's not fully functional. So let's jump back over to the market and let's double check our transaction. Looks like it's still ongoing. So I'm going to take a quick break and then I'm going to jump back over as soon as this is actually available. All right, it looks like the transaction has finished processing. And again, I can see my supply, my collateral, my input, and my output. If I now jump over to the loans tab, I can now see my debt, which again is going to be the 10 Lenfi that I just borrowed. I can also see that I've started accruing interest, and I can see my collateral, and I can also see my health factor as well as my APR. As you guys will probably note, the actual APR percentage has changed very slightly. I believe it was about 4.37% just a few minutes ago. But again, as the supply and demand functions take effect, the APR will change. Now, if I want to repay my loan, I can do that very quickly by clicking on this repay button. And again, I can see that I'm going to be repaying 10 Lenfi with my collateral of 50. I can see my APR, and I can see that very minor interest, which has already accrued. And again, I've got a 4 ADA batcher fee and deposit fee. So I'm going to click on confirm to repay the loan. I'm going to go ahead and sign this transaction. And I can now see that the repayment has begun. The very last thing I want to do as a part of this particular testnet update is actually go ahead and supply into a liquidity pool in order to earn yield instead of actually paying interest on a loan. So if you're looking to potentially earn some ADA or some interest, you can go ahead and take this approach. So let's say we want to go ahead and add some liquidity to one of these pools. Let's say here we want to add some liquidity into this min and JED pool where the supply token is min with a 9% APY, which is relatively lucrative. I can go ahead and click on supply, and I can provide how much of the min token I want to supply. If I click on max, I can see that I've got 1,200. So I'm going to click on next to supply. Let me just actually break that down in half. 600 of my min tokens, and I'm going to click on next. I can see my supply, the LP tokens I'm going to receive, And again, there's going to be a total of 4 ADA in terms of fees. So I'm going to click on confirm. I'll sign my transaction and we should be all good to go. So I'm going to close this out and we'll jump back over to the transactions tab. And we should have a few transactions currently pending. All right, so it looks like the transactions have now finished processing on chain. One thing that I did notice is that for some reason in the user interface, there are 3 rows for the repayment, which I don't think is accurate. So I'll be reporting that as a bug. And then I can also see that my deposit of liquidity into the MinJed pool as a supplier has also completed. Now, one thing to note is that if I jump over into my loans, I can now see that I no longer have any loans. However, if I jump back over to the pools and I actually select the pool that I went ahead and provided liquidity to, I can now see the min again, which I've supplied, and I can withdraw that here with the click of a button. I can see the total supply and the utilization rate. However, I am going to be suggesting to the team to maybe make it a little bit easier for me to see how much yield or how much interest I've accrued so far by providing liquidity into the protocol. Again, I can see that the supply APR is now at 7%, but I'm not sure how much I've actually earned to date, similar to how we saw how much interest was accruing on the loans tab when I took a loan out earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and make that suggestion. And again, this is what the testnet is all about, right? For us as the community to use the platform, let them know what we find to be easy and what could potentially make this platform better. But I think that is going to do it here for today's video. Again, I thank you all for tuning in. We walked through the process of connecting our wallet to the Lenfi testnet. We walked through the process of creating a pool, and I'll be following up with the team about that as well to maybe get a better understanding of how long it would take for the pool to display and where I can actually find my pool. Now, after that, we took a look at how to borrow. We also paid back a loan. And then in closing, we went ahead and actually supplied some assets over into the MinJed pool in order to begin earning some yield. Again, this is not the entirety of the testnet. As I mentioned before, there are some features that are not yet fully functional, but as the testnet grows and matures, I'll be providing you guys with additional updates here. That is going to do it here for today's video. If you made it this far into the video, I would really appreciate it if you guys could tap that like button. It's one of the easiest ways to support me here on the channel, and also helps to get this content out to other members within the growing Cardano community. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions surrounding Lenfi, their testnet, or Cardano in general, then please make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.